guys, welcome back to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're going to be making Lihnarakia. Lihnarakia are basically little sweet cheese pies that come from the island of Crete. That's where my family comes from, and I had them there this summer. They're really sold all year round in bakeries over there, but traditionally they're made around Easter time. They're so dainty and delicious because who doesn't love a dessert that's just individual size that you can serve to your guests and they can pick it up and eat it, and you don't have to cut it, slice it, or any of that. You don't have to serve it. You just put it out and everybody helps themselves. They're so beautiful to look at. The name comes from the old-fashioned oil lamps that they used to use in Greece. That's what Lihnarakia means. They're very easy to make, and the best part is that you can make them ahead of time. I'm going to go over all of the tips and tricks at the end of the video when we do the taste test too, so stay tuned for that. Let's start with making the dough. So we're going to start by whisking our dry ingredients together. I have some all-purpose flour, salt, and baking powder. Then I'm using a stand mixer, but you could feel free to do this all by hand. In my stand mixer, I have a stick of unsalted butter that's nice and soft. I'm going to add to that some granulated sugar, and I'm going to beat it together until it's nice and combined and fluffy. Now I'm going to add the egg, and you want to make sure that the egg is at room temperature. Mix it together until it's all combined. Next, we're going to add the yogurt, and we're going to mix it all together until it's combined. Scrape down the sides of the bowl, and the mixture is going to look slightly curdled, but don't worry about it. It's all going to come together once we add the flour. Next, turn the mixer on low speed and slowly incorporate all of the dry mixture, which is the flour mixture. Once the dough comes together, then go ahead and transfer it to the mixing bowl and just cover it and let it rest at room temperature for about 30 minutes. And you want to make sure that the dough is not sticky, but it's not dry either. The best is if it's slightly tacky and still soft. While the dough is resting, go ahead and make the filling. And the cheese filling is very simple to make. All it consists of is some strained ricotta cheese, some granulated sugar, semolina flour, which adds lots of creaminess, an egg, and pure vanilla extract. You could also add some lemon zest to this or orange zest. That's optional. Now the important thing is to strain the ricotta cheese overnight. You want to place it in a strainer, just like I have here, and put it over a bowl or a mixing cup, and then just leave it in your refrigerator. Make sure to cover it with a towel too, so that way it doesn't absorb any of the smells. And leave it in your refrigerator for at least 24 hours. If you could leave it for 36, that would be great, but 24 hours will do the trick. That's going to help all of the excess liquid and moisture that's in there drain down to the bottom, and it's going to leave you with a nice, thick, creamy cheese. Now, in Greece, the traditional cheese that's used in this dish and most sweet pastries is known as mizithra. There are two types. There's a sour one, which is not used in this, and the sweet one. If you can find sweet mizithra, then go ahead and use that. I can't. It's really hard to find here in Houston, so I am using the ricotta, which is going to make it just as delicious. So I'm going to add the strained ricotta in here with the semolina flour and the egg. Just beat the egg on the side of the bowl like that. And you can start with the fork, combine everything together. If you wanted to add lemon zest, go ahead and add that in here too. I'm going to keep it plain, and I'm going to add some pure vanilla extract instead. Once you combine everything with the fork, then you can switch to a spatula and mix everything together until it's all incorporated and combined. And the mixture should be nice and smooth and creamy. Once it's done, set it aside. Next, you want to have 2 baking trays lined with parchment paper ready to go. I'm going to set them aside. And you can make these as big or as small as you like. I found after all of my recipe testing that a 4-inch round cookie cutter works best for this. If you don't have a cookie cutter, you can use a bowl that measures 4 inches in diameter, a cup, whatever it is. I like the 4-inch size because it's the perfect serving size, but you can definitely make these smaller. In Greece, they make them all different sizes. A lot of times they are served much smaller in the bakeries, but I'm going to make them this size because it's easier to form them. It's easier to do everything, so I'm just going to use the 4-inch size. But I can't emphasize how important it is to allow the dough to rest. Make sure you let it rest for at least 30 minutes up to an hour at room temperature before you go to work with it. And before you roll it out, go ahead and just knead it a few times by hand. And I'm going to roll the dough out until it's a 1/4 inch in thickness. The dough should roll out easily. It is important to use as little flour as possible in this so they stay nice and soft and tender. Once it's rolled out, go ahead and cut the circles out as close as possible so you don't have that much waste left over. And once whatever's left over, you can just roll out again and keep cutting it out until you run out of dough. You should end up with about 21 circles. Cut the circles out and place them on the baking trays that are lined with parchment paper. Take one of the circles and then just roll it out just a tiny bit. Take a spoonful of the filling and put it in the center. And then you're going to pinch the sides together. Make between 7 to 9 pinches to create that decorative border. And then go again one more time and just reinforce that decorative design. Pinch them together. And then we're going to put it on the baking tray. And when you put it on the baking tray, you can just reshape it one more time. And repeat the process until all of the circles are filled. Now it's time to freeze them. It's best to freeze them for at least 45 minutes, up to an hour, or you could even freeze them for a few days or even a few weeks. As they freeze, they're going to harden and they're going to hold their shape a little bit better once they're baked. After 20 minutes in the freezer, just take them out one more time and just reinforce the edges and fix their shape because they do tend to spread out a little bit. Then at that point, you can freeze them for a couple of weeks or a couple of days or an hour. So if they're frozen for at least an hour, they're going to bake up beautifully. Once they come out of the freezer, then what you want to do is you're just going to brush them with the egg wash. The egg wash is basically just an egg yolk with a couple tablespoons of water whisked all together. Brush them with the egg wash and sprinkle some ground cinnamon on top and bake them in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. I'll show you what they look like as soon as they're done. The Lihnarakia are ready. They baked in the oven for 20 minutes. You want to let them cool a little bit. Once they're cooled, go ahead and put them on a serving dish. Now you don't have to bake them all. Like we said, they can stay frozen for about 2 months as long as they're in an airtight container. As soon as they chill and harden, you can transfer them to a freezer bag and they will stay fresh for about a month or two. I wouldn't push it to 2 months, not that they'll last that long in the freezer, but a month is really good so you can have them in there and bake as many as you need as you go. Make some tea, call some friends over, and enjoy these pastries. They are so delicious. Now, they are rustic looking because they are homemade. They're not going to be perfect the way they come out of the bakeries in Greece, but we're making this in the house. We're making it with love, and they're going to be delicious either way. It is time to take a taste test. Layla, you want to try it?
Yeah.
How is it?
Good.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to taste too. So good. The cinnamon on top is perfect. Of course, you can put some cinnamon in the cream too. However, it will darken the color and it won't make it look very authentic. The filling is so creamy. It almost resembles a cannoli. So if you like cannoli, you're going to love these. And the crust is so buttery and tender. You're going to absolutely love these. Head on over to the website, www.dimitrasdishes.com, where you're going to get the exact measurements for this. Everything's going to be on there with anything that I might have forgotten. You're going to get everything there in a written recipe. Print the recipe. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.